Hi. I'm gonna attempt to do this the same way that I did the last one, where I don't really spend a lot of time previewing this. I did actually previously edit this video, so it's not gonna be like too bad. I don't think, but this is when I made some art tiles, and I made this actually last week, part of it while my sister was here, and the other part a little bit before that. So if you don't know what an art tile is, you're pretty much in the same boat as me, but I kept hearing them talked about and I kept seeing people talking about them, and they're used in mixed media a lot. A lot of people make sets of, I don't know, sets of like kind of like the same thing. So that's kind of what I'm doing here, but instead of cutting them up and then doing them all the same, I'm actually starting the way that I kind of started my cards. So I'm going to explain a little bit what I'm doing. So I did use Inktense pencils on this for most of it so far. It's just, this is just a piece of, I can't think of what it's called. Bookboard. It's bookboard. So it's like a piece of chipboard, but it's a little bit nicer. There's one side is finished, and then I did go ahead and gesso over that. So I did all that before I started this video, and I cut off an end that had been cut into a circle I used for something else. So Inktense pencils, how they work, if you haven't seen my other videos, is when you add water to them, they kind of blend together like my cat jumping up trying to eat my earphones that are in my ears right now, so that's nice. Anyway, they blend like watercolor, but once they dry, they're supposed to be permanent. But I like to lay down the color and then usually hit them with a little bit of water afterward to give it that mottled effect, which you see me do a lot actually in most of my art. So that's what I'm doing here. And these art tiles, I wanted them to be kind of colorful. I'm not anywhere close to finishing them, even now, but I have most of them started, and in this video you can see me finish at least one of them. And I decided to do a little monster for one of them just because I thought that might be neat to add as like a focal point to a page. So while this is going on and you can see what's going on, I'm going to go ahead and update you about what happened with my mom and, well, with the house. So I did get my mom's permission to go to the house, and she said it was okay. And I did go, and I guess in my last video I said that I thought that it was probably pretty bad, but I guess I'll say that how it actually looks exceeded my like wildest thought processes. It's actually way worse than I thought it was, to the point where I don't think that any human being should be living in that house, much less my little sister. And that's just how bad it is. I did today send the photos to the lady, the lady who's the professional. I haven't heard back yet for a price. I have no doubt that the price is going to be very high, but I've decided, and I've talked to Brian about this, that no matter what happens with my mom's house, we don't think that we're going to let my sister go back and stay with her under any circumstances, even if the house does get cleaned, because I don't feel like I feel like even if she gets help and even if the house gets cleaned up, unless she does like a complete like 180 turnaround and doesn't keep buying things and piling them up, that she's just not gonna be fit to take care of somebody else. I don't even think she's fit to take care of the animals she has, much less my sister, who is a human being, you know. And I had no idea. I told my sister yesterday when we were in the car on the way back from my mom's house that I was so sorry that I had no idea it was that bad, and that, you know, if I had known, I would have done more. I would have fought more. I knew that my mom's house was like messy before, but it wasn't like this. Like it's one thing to like walk in and, things are kind of messy and scattered everywhere. And like there's, maybe some dog poop on the floor that didn't get picked up. But this was 100 times worse than that. This was really, really bad. Poor Brian, he went in with me and he couldn't breathe. He had a really hard time dealing with it, and he helped me. He took the photos, and I ended up having to kick him out of the house because he couldn't breathe. I was able to manage it because I've been around it enough in my life that I know like the smell doesn't get to me as much, I guess. I don't know, which is weird because I'm allergic to everything in the world. My poor sister went in the house and she was worried that one of the cats was missing. There are 3 cats in the house and 2 dogs, so that's my next priority, is figuring out how I can get them out of there, or at least get clean air moving through the house. And I think I'm going to get some of those fans that you can buy where like they have 2 fans and then like one blows in and one blows out so that you can get, like fresh air going through the house. And when my mom said something like, well, the cats this, that, and the dogs this, that, I was like, well, with it, we could at least open the windows. And she's like, we can't, there's no screens. And I was like, are you kidding me? Like, I was just like flabbergasted. And then to actually see how bad the house is and know that there are animals locked up in there there's dirty like litter and it's so bad. It's so bad. It's so bad. I'm just glad that there's no human being living in there right now. I woke up today with a cold sore immediately because I know that level of stress would do it to me, and sure enough it did. I'm glad Brian's okay. We came home and took our clothes off and washed them as soon as we walked in the door. After we left my mom's house, we actually had to stop because we were all like so freaked out by how bad it was that we ended up stopping at a restaurant, like washing ourselves off and washing our faces and stuff. My sister's face was burning. Brian couldn't breathe. I lost it. I lost my like complete ability to function. I just couldn't deal with how bad it was. Like I said, it exceeded my worst nightmare. And I do have nightmares about stuff like that, about animals being trapped in houses and not being fed or taken care of. And I think that like this is like some residual thing from having lived like that myself with my mom. She's also abandoned animals at her old house and stuff too. So this is not a new behavior for me to be around, but I didn't remember this stuff because like I had said in previous videos, I just don't remember a lot of the trauma. So being in that house brought on like these massive just waves of trauma that I was just not prepared for. And like I said, I apologized to my sister, and like that's the most that I really let her see me upset. And I went to drop her off at the lady's house who's been kind of taking care of her. And this lady was like, well, yeah, I saw your mom's house and it was pretty bad. And I thought, I just wanted to be like, you bitch, and you didn't tell me how bad my mom's house was. Are you fucking kidding me right now? Like, I was so mad that she didn't tell me. And then I find out that, oh yeah, well, my cousin was there not that long ago and she saw the house and she knew it was bad then. And my brother was there a few years ago and he saw the house and it was bad. And I'm like, nobody told me this stuff. Like, you guys didn't do anything. You didn't say anything. I don't know how like anybody could be okay with that. Like, not even a little bit, and just let it go and just let it go. Well, it's not my problem, And I mean, for years I was so worried about my sister, and I was so scared that, she was going to be in this situation with my mom, and that I just thought it was going to be abusive. And I didn't even think about it being just literally toxic, a toxic environment. And it ended up being more that than abusive. And I mean, and my mom is like, she's so delusional at this point that I told her today, I said that she needs to get a test for toxoplasmosis, and that I'm going to have my sister tested as well. I haven't looked into like a lot of if there's treatment for it or not, but like she's not going to be able to have cats anymore. And I feel bad, but like there's no way. there's like no way that, and there's mice, I'm sure. But I mean, one of the things I was dealing with was like all this guilt about like not being able to handle the fact that my sister was living with my mom and that it was bad. This is so much worse than my nightmares. Like this is exactly what I was afraid of. And so I dropped my sister off, and I just got back in the car and I just started crying. And I told some people at work that I told one person at work like what was going on, and she was like, "You probably shouldn't come in tonight." And I took the night off. I did not take tonight off, but I decided that I would come into work. We were short a person because somebody quit, so I don't really have the luxury of like being able to take a night off, like just when I need to right now. Because normally we have like just enough people that it's just the work has to be done. So, but luckily my work can be a little bit distracting, so that's a little helpful. It's just really hard because there's so many people that like, yeah, I showed a couple people the pictures so that we could discuss like what to do and stuff. And they're like, "Yep, that looks like hoarding." And I'm like, thank you, but that's not what I'm asking you. That's not helpful. I'm just trying to like figure out what to do. If you have, and when I show people it and they're like, "Oh, I have a little bit of, they're like, I have a little bit of experience with this. Can you show me?" And I show them and they're like, "Oh, that's terrible." And like, cause nobody is ready for how bad it is. And so, and when I talk about my mom being like delusional, I'm literally remembering just a couple of days ago, I was telling her that I think my sister needs to get the HPV shot at her age, and she hasn't had her first pap yet or whatever. But like, that's probably, just whatever. That's like normal for that age. And my mom was like, "Well, I heard that it could do bad things to people and your health and blah, blah, blah." And I'm like, and now just like thinking about that, like I just want to strangle her, because clearly she doesn't give a shit about my sister's actual health, because if she did, she wouldn't have her living in filth. Like, the kitchen of this house is unusable. The bathrooms are pretty much mostly unusable. I don't even know where my sister could possibly be showering in this house, because there's clothing hanging up all over the only bathtub that seems to work. Like, the bathroom is unrecognizable as a bathroom. Like when I told Brian I was going to take pictures of the bathroom, he was like, "I didn't even know that was a bathroom." Like that's how much stuff is in there. And the room that my mom's been sleeping in, it's basically an ashtray. I don't even know. Like, the cleanest seeming room was actually my sister's, so it seems like she'd been taking care of her room at the very least a little bit better than the rest of the house was. And I know that it's, my sister is probably not neurotypical either, but my mom is so far removed from reality that like she will blame any habit on my sister, any little thing my sister does on her, and like, yet they're still living in this. So I don't know. Like, I really feel like she doesn't realize how bad it is. She just doesn't. She doesn't. I know she complained to me today about some drama at the nursing home that she's staying at, and I told her, she called me and she wanted to talk about this, and I was telling her that I don't want to talk to her about that right now, but I want her to call her doctor and get tested for toxoplasmosis, and I would do the same thing for my sister. And she just wanted to talk about drama at the and I'm just like, what, I can't do this right now. Like, I cannot have this conversation with you right now when literally everything is like falling apart, like, because this means a huge change. This is going to be a huge change in my life. It's going to be a huge change in my sister's life. And my mom, I haven't talked to my mom about it yet, because honestly, I don't feel like I should have to yet. And I don't want to have to deal with the drama and fallout of her like freaking out, because I just can't. I don't have that in me right now. I don't have the spoons. In fact, I'm in spoon debt so far right now, and I still have to figure out all these other things that I'm basically relying on my like PTSD to kind of push me through this. Like, my own like defense mechanisms have kicked in full blast, and that's where I am right now. I just got to figure out, where to get these animals, because I can't stand that there are just cats locked in a room with their own, pee and poo, and yeah, they have food and water, but it's like they don't have freedom. And then my sister was like, well, if they're allowed to roam around the house, they fight with the other cat. And I'm like, trust me, they won't fight after a while. They'll get over it. Like even cats, and even when you have cats in a situation where there's 50 cats, eventually they calm down. You can't just keep them separated like that. I need to find out. I don't know. I guess I'm going to call, or I'm going to talk to my mom about the animals and see what I can do. I might try to see if I can find some place to have them, like a foster home for a while. I guess I'll find out tomorrow about all of the information with the money and all of that. I don't know what I'm going to do. My friends are telling me that I should set up a GoFundMe, and I guess I can do that, but I don't want to make my friends responsible for my family either. Like, I don't know. Maybe people don't really understand that. It must be, I don't know. I've never been good about asking for money for stuff that I feel like is my responsibility. And I definitely feel like, even though I know it's not, like, logically, my sister is not my responsibility, I feel like I'm the only, like, responsible person in her life that's, like, willing to do something. And because, like, when my aunt tried, she wasn't able to keep her. So I don't know. Anyway, here's my little monster. He looks so happy. I did end up making another monster tile of these. I was thinking about doing some little giveaways at some point, or something like that. I don't know, I just like to make stuff like this. I'm sorry that all of these vlogs have been so, like, crazy lately, but I wanted to be honest, and I wanted to share the stuff that's going on, because it's so hard for me to create and, like, do my streams without, like, being able to talk about it. And even Brian said that, he appreciates that I've been shielding him from a lot of what's been going on, but now that he's seen it with his own eyes, he wants to know what's going on, because, like, he was saying that even just stuff that I've talked to him about in the past, like my trauma and stuff, that now that he's seen me actually around my mom, and now especially that he's seen the house, like, he understands it a lot more, like, that he could logically, like, believe those things and, like, figure it out. But now that he's seen it, it's like a whole different can of worms, I guess, if that makes sense. Things, I think that's happened with a lot of people, actually, once they, when they hear me talk about stuff with my family, until they actually, like, get around it and they see that it's real, or whatever. I don't know. It's hard to believe some of the things that have happened. It's very hard to believe if you're outside looking in, and then as soon as you're, like, on the inside of it, you're like, oh yeah, okay, I get it. And he's gotten to that point, I guess. And the thing is, I didn't want to traumatize him. I don't want to traumatize anybody. Which is why I put warnings on my videos. So I hope that people keep watching, and I'm going to be doing some more digital art and some more other art if I don't keep blue screening. And again, I hope that everyone has a lovely week. It's Monday for me. So I hope my week goes better. I hope your week goes great. Thanks again for watching me, and I will probably post another video in a couple of days, is my guess. So thank you. Bye. Bye-bye.